Welcome to Revelation Unraveled. I'm your host, William Tapley, also known as the third eagle of the apocalypse and the co-prophet of the end times. On this program, I want to complete my analysis of an extremely important dream which Barack Obama had 22 years ago when he was on a train traveling to Kenya with his half-sister. This is the most significant part of his book, Dreams from My Father. In fact, I believe that's where he got the title. The dream is included in the title of his book. But who is this father that Barack Obama is talking about? Is this his biological father? Is Satan his father? Or is God Almighty the father who gave Barack Obama this dream? I believe it is the latter. I believe God himself gave Obama this dream, and it is extremely important for us to understand what God is telling Obama and what God is telling us. Let's review the dream quickly from the point where the leopard is chasing Obama into the forest. I heard the growl of a leopard and started to run into the forest, tripping over roots and stumps and vines, until at last I couldn't run any longer and fell to my knees in the middle of a bright clearing. Panting for breath, I turned around to see the day turned into night, and a giant figure looming as tall as the trees, wearing only a loincloth and a ghostly mask. The lifeless eyes bored into me, and I heard a thunderous voice saying only that it was time, and my entire body began to shake violently with the sound, as if I were breaking apart. Now in Bible prophecy, America is Babylon, especially the whore of Babylon as found in the book of Revelation. And in the book of Daniel, Babylon prefigures America. And the king of Babylon, that is Nebuchadnezzar, prefigures Barack Obama, our last president. Now this dream, which is extremely important, was never finished in his book, because he leaves out the ending of this dream. What happens to this huge figure? Now I believe this huge figure symbolizes Obama himself. And as I say, the ending of this dream, I believe he has forgotten. In order for us to understand the ending of this dream, we need to look at King Nebuchadnezzar's dreams as depicted in the book of Daniel. Let's look at chapter number 2. In verse number 1, and in the second year of the reign of Nebuchadnezzar, Nebuchadnezzar dreamed dreams, wherewith his spirit was troubled, and his sleep broke from him. Notice that Nebuchadnezzar is troubled just like Obama is afraid in his dreams. And Daniel continues. The Chaldeans answered before the king and said, there is not a man upon the earth that can show the king's matter. Now the king had this dream, but he could not remember it, very much the way Obama could not remember the ending of his dream. And Daniel continues. Therefore Daniel went into Antioch, whom the king had ordained to destroy the wise men of Babylon. He went and said thus unto him, destroy not the wise men of Babylon, bring me in before the king, and I will show the king the interpretation. In chapter 2, verse 31 of Daniel, you, O king, saw and behold a great image. Now this is the famous statue with a head of gold. This great image, whose brightness was excellent, stood before you, and the form thereof was terrible. Notice the similarity with the form in Obama's dream. Notice also that it takes a prophet to explain the dream to the king. And Daniel continues, you, O king, are a king of kings, for the God of heaven has given you a kingdom. And in verse 38, you are this head of gold. In other words, the most important part of this statue is an image of King Nebuchadnezzar himself, just as I believe the huge figure in Obama's dream is Obama himself. But what happens to this image? Notice that there is a conclusion to this dream of King Nebuchadnezzar. In verse 34, you saw till a stone was cut out without hands, which smote the image upon his feet, that were of iron and clay, and broke them into pieces. Now I am well aware that this stone symbolizes Jesus Christ, and the image symbolizes the 5 previous great world tyrannies. And it is a prophecy of the destruction of the one world communist tyranny at Armageddon. But this statue and its explanation is here to also explain to us Barack Obama's dream as described in his autobiography. But this is not the only dream which Nebuchadnezzar has which is significant. In chapter 4, Daniel explains another dream to Nebuchadnezzar, which is extremely similar to the one we just read about, and also extremely similar to Obama's dream. Now in Daniel chapter 4, verse 5, I saw a dream which made me afraid. Right away, this is very similar to Obama's dream. And the thoughts upon my bed and the visions of my head troubled me. Now this dream King Nebuchadnezzar understands, but still the wise men of his court cannot explain the dream to him. Then came in the magicians, the astrologers, the Chaldeans, and the soothsayers, and I told the dream before them, but they did not make known to me unto the interpretation thereof. So once again, King Nebuchadnezzar is in a quandary. And once again, he calls upon a true prophet, Daniel, to interpret the dream for him. But at the last, Daniel came in before me, whose name was Belshazzar, according to the name of my God, and in whom the spirit of the holy gods, and before him I told the dream. Chapter 4, verse 10, Thus were the visions of my head in my bed. I saw, and behold, a tree in the midst of the earth, and the height thereof was great. Notice the similarities between this tree and the figure in Obama's dream and the statue in Nebuchadnezzar's previous dream. The tree grew and was strong, and the height thereof reached unto heaven, and the sight thereof to the ends of the earth. And now Daniel explains the dream. The tree which you saw, which grew, whose height reached to the heaven, it is you, O king, who has grown and become strong. So once again, this image that the king Nebuchadnezzar has is of himself, just as I believe Obama's image of the huge figure is also of himself. But what happens to this huge tree? Now this he is an angel from heaven, signifying that what happens to the tree is a judgment from God. He cried aloud and said thus, Hew down the tree, and cut off his branches, shake off his leaves, and scatter his fruit. Let the beasts get away from under it, and the fowls from its branches. Now do you see what I mean when I say this dream of Obama is extremely important? This dream has biblical significance. The dreams of King Nebuchadnezzar in Daniel prefigure this dream, and we can understand the meaning of this dream by looking at the 2 previous dreams. The figure in Barack Obama's dream, which symbolizes himself, is cut down. This is the part that Obama has forgotten, or perhaps the Lord never revealed it to him. The 2 dreams of King Nebuchadnezzar show how this will happen. The figure is cut off at the legs, perhaps below the knees. Now, does this signify a terrorist attack? Does it signify an assassination attempt? Does it mean that President Obama will be in an accident of some kind? Will he be forced into a wheelchair? I am doing this video as a warning to President Obama. Please do not take this video lightly. Whatever the case, I am putting out this video so that others can take a closer look at Obama's dream. I have just touched the surface in analyzing what Obama saw. And because the leopard in Bible prophecy not only symbolizes Obama and very possibly the fall of Obama, but the leopard also symbolizes the United States. And it's very likely that the figure in Obama's dream, which will be cut down, also symbolizes the fall of the United States. And if you would like a free copy of my book, Revelation Unraveled, simply write to the address you see on your screen.